Alright guys, we're going to do some shocks. Got a little special something. You can see it on the tabletop here. I went ahead and built the shock bodies out and put my seals in the caps. So I already got my front and my rears ready to go so we could do our special stuff. I'd already went through how to do the shock bodies and how to do a standard shock. So as you can see, I got the VRP XV4 shock pistons. The ones that I'm going to try out on this car are the 8-hole. The ones I'm running on the car now that I'm using now are a 5-hole. So we're going to go to an 8-hole. We're going to see how I like them versus the 5-hole. If I like the 5-hole better, then I'll order another set of 5-holes and I'll install them in this car. But we're going to try these 8s out. We're going to see how the pack and rebound works on them versus the 5s. So I've already cut my bag open with all my valves and my washers in here. Here's the instructions. I don't have it's not online. Let's see here. Let me see if I can turn on the focus again. Oh, it's not going to let me do it while I got the video going. But anyhow, what it says is instructions. Run the valve up. Use the provided silver washer under the piston. Install the valves in the piston. Install the piston on the shaft. Install one of the provided washers on the top of the piston. Install the stock screw or nut. Clean the threads and use Loctite on the screw or nut. The piston should not rotate. They recommend starting with the black washer in the rear and the red washer in the front. I believe that's what I'm running in my other car also with the other setup. So we're going to do the same thing on this one as a starting point, and then we can tune them as necessary. Now this comes with, looks like some stainless steel nuts, stainless steel washers, set of 4 pistons, and these darn little rubber valves that never want to come out the package. I had a problem in the last one I bought with doing that. So open a little baggie up, y'all. Rubber pieces inside of baggies. I think y'all heard me say that more than one time during my car build. The rubber don't like to slide out the baggie. You gotta fish them out of there a lot of times. You just want to rubber sticks. Alright, there we go. Alright, so we're going to start with the rear shocks and we're going to go to the front shocks. So rear, we're going to start with the black washers. So we got 1, 2 black washers. So on the shock shaft, we're supposed to put one of the big stainless steel washers on there. And I'm going to take my glasses off because I could see up close better without them. So we're going to take these little tiny valves and they're going to sit pointy side facing out, and a little slot that fits into the little rubber valve. Press them on there. They kind of almost snap into place or slip into place. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and do all of them while I'm down here and my focus is in on it. Well, I hope they got a machine that puts these things in the bag, because they're an absolute nightmare to do it. Handle these things by hand. I'd hate to be the guy loading these things into the bags. They are teeny tiny. They'd have to have somebody either with small hands or a whole lot of patience. Getting there. Working on piston number 3. Alright, and piston number 4. Alright, so what these pistons are supposed to do is they're supposed to allow a faster rebound when your shocks are unloading. It's supposed to operate like a normal piston when you hit a bump or when you're landing a jump, and then when your shocks unload, when your car is wanting the wheels to go back down to the ground, it's supposed to do it faster. So it's supposed to speed up your rebound and make it easier for the wheels to come back down a little faster. So it should slow on compression, go faster on the rebound. And using these different size and shape washers on here pushes more or less pressure further out on these little valves, so it allows them to do more or less. Alright, so we're doing the back one, so we're going to use the black on there. So I've already got a washer on there. I've already got the little valves on this piston. I'll set the piston on there with the rubber up. We're going to take the black washer. It's going to sit inside little grooves on either side. The flat sides are going to go in there. And then we're going to use our stock nuts because they have nylock on top, so I won't need to use Loctite. If I was using their nuts that don't have a nylock on them, I definitely need to use Loctite on those. So I'm going to use my stock ones and see if they'll tighten all the way up to the nylock, which it looks like they will. Maybe. Maybe not. Alright, so it's barely not making the nylon, at least not to where I like it. So I'm going to put a little dab of Loctite on top. And then we're going to put this on. And if you can hear my computer fan roaring in the background, I'm not sure if you can hear that on the microphone or not, but I'm uploading a couple of videos at the same time right now. So we're going to do the same thing with this next rear shock. It's going to be a washer, piston. It's going to be the black tuning washer. And then we're going to put some Loctite on there and then put our stock nut on there. Alright. And the front ones, we're supposed to use red washers on those. Let's go ahead and get these done. We got a stainless washer, piston, red tuning washer, a little bit of Loctite, and a stock nut. Put that to the side, so it's going to be for a front shock. Get the other nut from over here. Same thing. Steel washer, piston, red tuning washer, and dab of Loctite. Nut. And make sure when you're tightening these things up that the washer stays in that, inside that, the little lips there, so it stays on top of the piston valve. We want to make sure that it is pressing on the rubber. Alright, now, like I said, we've already got the shock bodies done with the seals put in, all greased up and everything. So we're going to put we're going to do a rear and a front. I'm not going to sit here and do all four of them for you guys. That's the inside of it. So we're going to put that in. Remember the shock boot this time. Press that shock boot down a little bit, and I haven't threaded this one on yet, so I'll grab that bad boy here. Let's see if I can get that shock in to start without having to ream it out. Alright, looks like it's going to go on there. Take my 2.5, put it through the ball, tighten her up. All the way in. Alright, so that is your shock. Alright, so the rear shocks are going to get 35 weight. So I like to put my shock coil in at an angle slowly. That way it has a chance to allow air out the high side. Fill it most of the way up. Slowly work it up and down, let some bubbles out. Alright. If you have a car stand, a lot of times they got holes in the top, so you can set your shocks in there. Alright, so that's the rear one. I'm going to do a front one. It's got the red, goes inside, and I've already got one of these that are threaded. Got that. The boot on. He's trying to hang on to the shock shaft. Don't want to go. Alright, we're going to grab that. Tighten our end on. Alright, that's on there. So fronts are going to get 40 weight. It's still kind of cold here. We're still winter time. So I'm running a little thinner shock oil than what I normally run in the warmer weather. Once the weather warms up some, I'll go to even thicker shock oil. The bubbles start to come out. Alright, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and knock these other two out. They aren't taking but a second to do them. And it's going to take a little while for the bubbles to bleed out to move along. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and pause this until I get them built and get the air bled out, and then we'll go into pumping them up and bleeding them off. I'll be right back. Alright guys, so got all four shocks put together. Got the air bleeding out of them for the most part. Again, I've got 35 in my rear shocks, 40 in my front shocks weight. That's an empty bottle, throw that away. So we're going to move along into finishing off the top off on the fill, pumping and bleeding the shocks to get them neutral, and then we'll put the cups and the springs on them. So it's concave on fluid on top, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill them until they got a bubble on top. Just do it real slow. Shock oil has a good surface tension on it, so you can fill them up without overflowing over the lip, just to where the fluid is just above the level of the lip. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our shock caps. We're going to gently lift the shock out of the cradle. We're going to hold the shock completely upright. We're going to try to hold it as upright as possible while we put the cap on it. Then we're going to tighten it up. As you tighten it up, you'll see a little bit ooze out of the bleed hole in the side. And that's about all you need to do there. So we got our little screw for the shock cap. We're going to get that ready. So we're going to take the shock, hold the air hole up. We're going to compress the shock slowly, completely, and you'll see fluid start to come out the hole as the shock shaft goes in and displaces fluid. And holding it the way we do, that lets any air out that's in there. Alright, so now with it fully compressed and the cap in it, We're going to pull the shock out and in. We're going to pump it about 15 times. We're going to hold it fully in. We're going to take the screw back out. Now a little pro tip, do all this with a rag in your hand so this fluid coming out gets sucked up. I just did it this way so you guys can see what I was doing. Alright, so fluid quit coming out. Now we're going to take and we're going to snug the screw. It don't have to be super duper duper tight. Get a paper towel so it'll wipe it all off. Some brand shock caps use a seal there. The Mayako cars don't use a seal there. I haven't had a problem with the screws leaking on them, so I don't see where they need the little copper band that goes in there sometimes. It's almost like putting brake lines on a car where they got a real car where they got a little rubber or copper seal that goes inside there. Alright, so that shock's put together. So what I'm going to do now is get my shock cup ready. This is the rear shock on the car. Told y'all I had new springs coming. So my rear springs are going to be gray progressive Mayako springs. The fronts are going to be silver progressive Mayako springs. With my shock piston fluid and spring combo, my car does not ride as soft as what you think it would with the progressives. The ones that come in the kit are a harder spring, which I get it. The harder springs work pretty good when you're using the stock pistons, but with these pistons, they've got more pack to them that I'm using with the fluid setup that I have, so a little bit lighter spring can be used. I also run on fairly rough tracks, so the car is more stable when you're running on rough tracks with a softer spring. Alright, so all said and done, that is a rear spring. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the bag for the front one open. I'll do a front one right quick and then I'll pause the video again. And once I have all my shocks ready, I'll bring the car back over here. I'll get this car stand out of the way and we will mount the shocks to the car. I'll show y'all how the fancy little shock inserts work on the car. The tower stuff is fairly the same for shock standoffs as any other car, but we have inserts in the arms and I'll show you what they are and how they operate. Alright, now I'm going to do a front shock. There again, lift it nice and level. I'll screw the cap down. Let's get the cap screwed all the way down. I'll grab my paper towel. So when you're tightening these things up, fluid a lot of times will come out of that little vent. If you do things right, you won't make as much of a mess and dirt won't stick to the car quite as much on the shocks when you're done. So I normally make a little blanket underneath it. I'll take my hand and I'll slowly press this in. The front ones, the fluid don't come out every time. While I'm holding that in, I'm going to get the screw ready to go. Run that in, just snug. We're going to pump this shock up about 15 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Alright, hold it full compressed. Open the cap with it facing up, and got a little bit of fluid that came out. There's also a vacuum system you can use to get air out of your shock fluid. I see it's getting to be a popular thing now. I'm an old refrigeration guy. I kind of know what pulling a vacuum on fluids does to oil. I'm not sure if I completely agree with doing that. Those that are saying that it's working out for them, I may borrow one of your systems one day to check that out for myself, but I'm not a fan of pulling a vacuum on oil outside of a refrigeration system. Alright, so now we got our boot on our front. And like I say, with that fluid piston and spring assembly, that's a pretty tough shock right there, buddy. I mean, that feels about as much as it would be with the stock pistons, recommended fluids, and the springs that come with the kit. I mean, that's pretty nice right there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. I'm going to go ahead and get these other two slapped together. I'll clean all this off, get the car over, and then we will get started on putting them on the car. And then we will be pretty much done with putting the car together. Then I just got to mount my electronics and do test and tune tomorrow. Alright, so I'll be right back. Alright guys, we're back. Like I said, we came back, car's on the table, shocks are built on the table. We got a set of 4 inserts here. On our arm inserts, let me grab my glasses. Alright, so on our arm inserts, we've got dots on them specifying how far out the hole is that we mount the lower part of the shock. So that one's a 3 dot. That one's a 2 dot. You can see that the hole's not as close to the edge. Of course, a 1 dot's middle. So on my tune on my cars, I run 3s on the rear and I run 2s on the front. So on the arms, you got these holes inside here. So I run my shocks to the outside with the 2 hole on the front. You just push that all the way in until inside the arm is fully seated. Same thing with this one. It'll go in there. Just kind of feed it in the slot all the way back. Now we're going to mount our shock stand on the front. So we're going to need a 2.5 right here. We got our standoff. Don't necessarily need it, but I put a little bit of thread lock on mine. Right in the middle, is it does have a nylock nut that goes all the way on the outside, but the standoff is threaded, so I like to use it. So on my front arms, I run the middle hole. I'll take the shock stand off. We're going to thread it in with the nut shaped side going towards the tower. That thing's long, so I'll be threading for a while. So when you get it close, you can actually pull it back, and there's a flat part on the shock standoff that inserts into the tower, and it'll hold it like a wrench for you while you tighten up on the bolt. Alright, so I'm going to mount this one shock, and then I will pause the video, mount the other shock, do a rear shock for you, then we'll be done. Alright, so got our front shock here. We're going to, when I mount my shocks, I like to have my screw hole up. That way if I need to bleed my shocks while it's on the car, I can do it. Like on a race day, if my shocks are feeling a little rigid, I can come in and press the arm up as far as it'll go, and then loosen that hole up, or loosen the little screw up in the cap, and it'll bleed it off. Alright, so we're going to turn this. We're going to get that down into the arm. We're going to work the shock over. And we're going to fit it on there like so. Then we got a plastic washer that goes on the outside there like so. And then we've got a nut. It goes on there like that. I think that's a 5.5. Yes, it is. And we tighten that all the way up. That's a nylock, so it'll hold it. Alright, now, when you're putting the front arms, attaching them to the springs, you got black screw and you got silver screw. Your black screw goes on the left side of the car. Your silver screw goes on the right, and that's front and rear. They both go on the same. When you're facing the front, it'll be the left side, but the marking on the arm, it'll be on the right. Reason being is the way these compress, it sort of works the screws out. So that's a reverse thread screw, the silver one. So if you're ever looking at a car and wonder why it's got a black screw and a black screw in the front of it, that's why. So we're going to get our shock lined up with the screw, and then it'll push through the ball, and then it threads into the back of that insert. Nice thing about these is if you ever strip out the hole, you can replace the insert. You don't have to replace the arm. You just replace the insert. Nice, huh? So anybody who's ever had to put a shock screw in and the shock screw hole stripped out, and then you're like, shit, now I gotta glue it in there or replace the arm, Mayako thought of that. These little inserts, you don't have a bunch of holes in your arm to weaken it. You've just got this insert, and then you put whatever insert you want in there, and if it ever strips out, just keep a couple extras in your box. Just pull it out, throw it in, throw a new screw in it, good to go. So that's how we mount our shocks. Now, like I said, when I do the other side, it's going to be a reverse thread silver screw right here. I'm going to pause the video, go ahead, knock that out, then I'll do the reverse thread one on the back so you can see how that goes, and then I'll stop the video, mount the other one, show you guys, and then I think that's going to be it. Then I'm going to go dark. I'm going to mount my electronics up, do a little bit of setup magic, set my camber and my toe and my my camber on my front toe and my ride height and my droop, and have it ready to go so I can take it to the track and practice with it tomorrow. So 1 second and we'll be looking at the back of the car. Alright guys, you're now staring at the back of the car. I've already got the one with the normal thread screw mounted up. So now we're going to do the other back shock. So like the front, we're going to put it in there, and we want the screw hole up. Oh, I forgot to put the shock standoff on there. So I'll put the shock standoff on. Not too much thread lock. Thread lock in the middle of the screw. On the back, I do the upper hole with the 3-hole insert in the arm. Screw's so long. Run up and tighten up. Alright, it's all the way up. We've got our shock spacer insert, kind of like a bushing. Put that on there, then we're going to slide that down onto the standoff. I'll put our plastic washer on there. We're going to get our nut started on there. 5.5 millimeter hex socket. Run that all the way down till it stops. We got our silver screw. We'll push it through the arm insert, through the ball of the shock. And I'll take our 2 millimeter, and it's reverse thread. So we're going to turn lefty-tighty, move it around a little bit, find the hole. So we're going lefty-tighty. That is on the left side of the back of the car, and the left side of the front of the car gets the silver screw, reverse thread. And always remember, when you're doing maintenance to the car, you're doing a repair, the silver screw is a reverse thread screw on the arms. Alright, our shocks are mounted. Nice and flush. The front of the car. Look at that. Freaking awesome. Alright guys. That is your 2025 Mayako MX8E-25 limited edition, the LE model. This is what it looks like when you're done building it by the kit, other than the shock springs and the piston inserts. And I didn't mount the wing, but you know what a buggy looks like with the wing. So carbon fiber rear towers, CNC aluminum rear hubs. Lightweight wheel nuts, all sorts of carbon fiber goodies on it. Believe it or not, most of that carbon fiber stuff comes on the standard model car. So if you're a guy who likes carbon fiber but don't want to spend the money on an LE, you can get a base model, and it comes with a lot of this carbon fiber on it. Not the top plate though, and I'm not sure what the 25 model comes with for carbon fiber for a rear wing or whatnot, but or a rear tower. I know my 24 came with a carbon fiber rear tower, so the 25 may also. But anyhow guys, I'm going to get my electronics mounted up so I can go practice and test tomorrow. So if you're around the track, come check it out. I'll be over at Extreme later in the morning, get some practice runs in before I gotta go meet the wife for some stuff. Alright, Thanks for watching the videos. If you like it, be sure to like and subscribe them. Every car that I build, I'll be doing a video on. Little odds and ends stuff like paint videos and stuff like that. Probably not going to do a video on paint on this because I already did one on a Mayako body. On the last one I built, it's pretty much going to be the same paint job, just flip the colors a little bit. Alright. Again, guys, thanks for watching. See y'all at the track.